Is there anything within the bill that gives you certainty that energy bills will be brought down by £300? With all due respect, asking a question is not for the sake of time.
Okay.
It's just my job.
Right.
The
question before. I think this is.
Yes, can you please push and hold the government to account?
Order. I'm afraid that brings us to the end.
Now, this happened in the meeting to discuss the Great British Energy Bill on the 8th of October 2024, where did the fantastic SNP MP Stephen Flynn really expose GB Energy with this rather simple zinger? Well, that's up for you guys to decide, my friends.
You've spoken very eloquently and rightly about the energy transition, about jobs, about skills, about STEM. But just for clarity, and I've double-checked on the bill there, there's absolutely no detail within the bill in relation to any of those points. Would that be correct?
So my understanding is that it isn't currently in there.
Okay, exactly.
But however, my understanding is that the statement of strategic priorities is where that would be contained. We do, so there's questions about how much should be added in, and we understand the logic of the bill is to create an enabling vehicle, is to enable GB Energy to act and to do things. So is it useful to put in many different limitations? Probably not. Like adding in too much detail will slow it down and be not. Is it, on the other hand, useful to put in a clause that says as the statement of strategic priorities should have regard for just transition and quality job creation? That could be a consideration specific to it.
But for clarity, that doesn't exist on the face of the bill, anything that's been spoken about in this context. Similarly, just as a point of clarity for myself, is there anything within the bill that gives you certainty that energy bills will be brought down by £300?
So, bringing energy bills down is a complicated process, and it depends on lots of things.
Is it within the bill, though?
Within the bill, I mean,
that's my responsibility. How would it be?
Yeah, I mean,
would it be in the bill?
The bill can't. I mean, you could the bill say we will cap energy bills at this certain level? That would be it could theoretically, but that would not be part of GB Energy's role to cap it.
I mean, you can't divorce the fact that GB Energy operates in a still privatised energy asset environment. And consequently there are much broader questions about how bills are composed, the energy mix, etc. Now that is not on the face of the bill, and I'm sure the chair would stop me going down that. But I mean, having been the field official in energy, if anybody wants to talk about that, we can spend hours on it, and the construction of the energy on the energy sector. So I understand why the question's asked, but I mean, GB Energy is one entity within a much broader firmament of energy assets owned in different ways.
And does the bill enable the creation of a company which can over time grow to be something like EDF or Ørsted or Vattenfall? EDF brought bills down significantly during the energy crisis when we had soaring bills. Does the bill create the capacity to do that? Yes.
And if I'd answer it, I think the most important, often the focus in energy policy is on retail because it actually affects domestic consumers most tellingly, and obviously then more so on wholesale when the things go in a certain way. The biggest thing actually we would say, because we not necessarily represent engineering and science staff, is actually where's the generation going to come from? What's going down the pipes? What's going down the pipes consistently for the long term such that we have energy security, we have energy down those lines at a competitive price. And clearly a public sector champion in this regard can be a significant contributor to changing the trajectory of energy prices and giving us indigenous energy security.
If there are no further questions from members...
Time, I'm happy to come back.
Well, I mean, if we're not going to just fill time for the sake of time, if you have a genuine...
But with all due respect, asking a question is not for the sake of time.
Okay.
It's just my job.
Right.
Just for full clarity then, yes, you've clarified that it's possible for these things to happen. I don't think anyone would disagree that it's possible for these things to happen. But as it stands, the bill doesn't provide any certainty in relation to any of those points, whether it's...
The question before. I think this is... Carry on.
That's fine, sure.
Okay, there's a minute left, go on.
So again, just for clarity, because you pushed back and said that EDF brought down bills, there's nothing within this bill, as it stands, I can see, unless you're telling me otherwise, which says that GB Energy will do likewise. Is that correct?
I don't think it forces GB Energy to do likewise. I doubt that the legislation that set up EDF also forced EDF to do that. I think the legislation that set up EDF probably set up EDF as a company to operate and to give it freedom to act. And the question is, does this give us, and I would say the question to members here is, what do we do to enable the UK to finally be on par with our peers elsewhere? And does this create a basis for that? Yes. Then, yes, can you please push and hold the government to account?
Order. I'm afraid that brings us to the end of the time allotted for the...
It's not like Stephen Flynn to cause trouble there. But anyway, as far as I can work out, the Labour Party claims that its energy plans could save families up to £300 on their energy bills by 2030. This estimate comes from a report by the energy think tank EMBER, which suggests that if the UK meets its renewable energy goals, average household electricity bills could be about £300 lower in 2030 compared to 2023 levels. However, this £300 figure is based on energy prices from mid-2023. And since then, prices have decreased but are expected to rise again soon. EMBER's report estimates that with a strong commitment to renewable energy, the average electricity bill could be £828 a year by 2030, down from around £1,126.84 in mid-2023. It's also important to note that Labour's figures refer to overall energy bills, which include both electricity and gas, while EMBER's estimates only focus on electricity costs. Labour aims for a completely green power grid by 2030, if I remember rightly, which is more ambitious than the original targets of 2034 or 2035. And additionally, research indicates that reaching this target could lead to lower energy costs compared to delaying until 2035, and Labour plans to invest £23.7 billion in environmental initiatives to achieve these goals. And from what I can gather, they're funded by taxing oil and gas companies and borrowing money, so we'll have to wait and see, won't we? But anyway, what do you guys think? Did Stephen Flynn actually expose Labour's myth that Great British Energy will lower your energy bills by around £300 as total bollocks? Or is Stephen Flynn just being disingenuous, asking the wrong question to the wrong people? Or was he just playing good, smart party politics? Let me know down below, my friends. But one thing was for certain, Stephen Flynn, he stole the show for me. Also, if you actually want to watch the full meeting, I'll leave a link below for you. And I'll also be actually live streaming this meeting sometime today. I don't know what time it will be, as I just want to make sure I will not be eating to anybody else's live streaming time. The professionals, though, the ones who are miles better at it than I'll ever be. So hopefully by the time this video comes out, I'll hopefully have set a time, so keep an eye out for that. So it just leaves me to say, have a lovely day and take care, my friends.